Hey, it's the Sean Hannity Show. Mark Simone here for Sean. With us right now, Pat Caddell, the great pollster, analyst, genius. This guy, the smartest guys around. And I remember he was there in the Carter White House in what looked like, in many ways, a very similar race to this one. Different results, obviously, but he's on the line now. Pat Caddell, how are you?
Well, I'm all right. How are you doing?
Very good. This was following so closely the 1980 campaign until the end.
No, except for one thing. Obama achieved his strategic desire. We should not have debated Reagan. And the Romney campaign, which should have won, their situation was not, Obama had a 50% approval rate. How many times did I keep saying, you leave Obama at 50%, there's a good chance he will win.
Now,
and you know what? I mean, I've said, all people have to remember is what I said. This campaign, it was Romney's campaign to lose. They did everything they could lose it. They had 90 minutes. One good 90-minute debate, and from then on, just as they had done before, they threw it away along with the Republicans and all the money and all the self-stealing and all the stuff going on. And now we find out they even managed to suppress their own vote with their get out the vote, which they spent money on and didn't test, unlike Obama.
Now, but explain that. What went wrong there? For instance, in Ohio and other places where they did not get out their vote, and the other guys did.
Well, the other side had spent millions. Instead of all that money that Mr. Rove and all those people and those groups were taking and wasting and filling their pockets with, and so, the fraud and the corruption in the Republican and Conservative Party, on the parts of the Conservatives and Republican Party, is beyond anything I have ever seen in politics. And what they did is they ran bad advertising all the time, and then they were just smoking, and they put nothing into the long, hard slog the Obama people did of getting their vote out. It's a very simple election. 9 million, but when you wiped out when you have no appeal to Hispanics, no appeal to single women, and no appeal to blacks, and then you fall back on whites, and when you have 8 million whites who disappear from voting, you have a problem.
But what were they missing as far as ground game? What does that take? Volunteers, buses, people?
No, it takes data mining. The Obama campaign spent millions in the most sophisticated data mining operation started 3 years ago. They dress rehearsed, if you read the New York Times before the election, the 2 weekends before. I'm reading the Sunday New York Times, Sunday before the election, the story about how they had rehearsed 2 full weekends in Ohio on the Democratic side, practicing their get out the vote and getting their stuff out. The Romney people waited till election day, then their whole thing collapsed. It didn't work anyway, just like the rest of their campaign. And now I understand they don't know what happened. They could have been listening to campaign insiders and me all along. You have no message. You have no compelling message. You start with the premise, we're going to win because Obama's going to lose. And then you're going to lose.
But that kind of get out...
And you know what? The Republican Party can go through all the things I've said before. No branding. Not only did you lose the presidency, I think we're watching the Whig Party in action. The Republicans are the Whigs, and they'd be better off getting a new party because people just won't even listen to them. They're so negative. They managed to lose. There were 23 Democratic Senate seats up. 23. 12 of them were in jeopardy. The Republicans lost 3 Senate seats? Unbelievable. Every single one except one of the ones they were supposed to win, they lost. They produced candidates who had no business being on the ballot. When you have people like Murdoch and when you allow people like that to run, if they want to lead a religious crusade in Missouri and Mr. Murdoch does it after Mr. Aiken helps destroy his party.
Yeah.
And then he comes out, if you run candidates that stupid, and the Tea Parties and conservatives want to run candidates that stupid, let's have another party for those people who are interested in having America, as a lot of the Tea Party people want to do. There are big issues in this country, and we're going to pay a huge price.
Well, Pat Caddell, what about the argument that the ethnic composition has changed so dramatically, the demographics are so different?
That's not true. It's about who voted.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, this country is 45%, or at least conservative, and about 20% liberal. On election day, according to those exit polls you have to worry about, but it looks about right. It was 25% liberal and 35% conservative. Instead of a 20 or 25-point margin, it was 10. What does that tell you?
So if it comes down to having the right machinery, infrastructure to get out the vote...
No, it has to do with right message.
Yeah.
You have to give people a reason to want to vote.
Yeah. But again, Romney's the super manager. Shouldn't he have had all that in place?
Oh, this man is one of the biggest frauds of all time if he's a manager. Look, I mean, really, no wonder he did. To let himself be slaughtered in the spring on the Bain and everything else. Look, the Republicans refused. Dickie Morris and I both agreed. Whatever people think about Dick Morris, he and I agreed on a number of strategic initiatives Republicans need to do. They need to deal with Bain early on. They didn't. They needed to have a branding message. Look, even on in that electorate on Election Day, it was about 10 points that people said they wanted smaller government than bigger government.
Yeah.
And they elected a Senate with 3 more Democrats. I'm telling you, this party is incapable. The consultants who run, look, the political class Republicans in Washington wag the tail of the dog of the political class. Those people are the worst political operations in the history of man. How many times did I say that? I said this is the worst campaign in the history of modern American politics that has a chance to win.
You did say that.
I've said everything. I'm so tired of it. Just people need to go back and see what was said. They don't listen. The donors, you know what the worst thing is? These people take their donors and they set them up as marks. That's what this is about.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were a conservative or Republican or really cared about the country, I would be furious. And it would be at the Gillespies, the Romney campaign, Karl Rove, all those people who are in this game and control, who don't know a thing about what they're doing, who will not think out of the box. When did I say go to Pennsylvania? Right after the first debate. So did Dick Morris. They waited till last week. Pennsylvania was closer than a lot of the swing states.
So who would you have run if not Romney?
Mitch Daniels. There's candidates. If I were a conservative, Mitch Daniels would have slaughtered the field. He's a very populist candidate. People like him. He knows how to deal with the debt. I would have before, Christie, I'm not sure is balanced mentally.
Well, wait, now Mitch Daniels is a brilliant guy. I don't know if he has the charisma, the personality to...
You wouldn't need charisma and personality. You needed somebody who got in a truck and campaigned with ordinary people and made his own commercials and told the truth and went around and talked about the deficit threatening the country. His State of the Union response, if you remember, I said was the single best State of the Union response I have ever seen. He wrote it himself. This man was capable of doing that. Jeb Bush might have won, but I mean, my God, another one of those people. I really don't think, it's just terrible. Look, you pick Paul Ryan. I said at the time, you asked me, I told you it was a mistake. You ended up not giving the votes of old people. You get this wonk who's self-serving little nerd in there instead of Marco Rubio. Instead of some appeal, some effort to show that you don't hate Hispanics.
Yeah, I know, but Rubio is so new. He's too much of a rookie. Ryan is a veteran now.
Veteran my butt. Pardon my language. Right. He is still the same incompetent candidate he ever was. He was when he dumped the Republican Party in this because of his own intellectual arrogance. He couldn't do anything in Wisconsin. You don't pick members of the House for running mates.
Yeah, but he
disappeared in the campaign.
In the very early.
I tell you, said Marco Rubio. He had the best speech at the convention. He would have been the best candidate. He would have delivered Florida, and at least there would have been an opening conversation with Hispanics. The Republicans and Romney weren't just anti-Hispanic.
Yeah.
Well, if
listen,
you
I remember.
That one out, then you really don't belong in this business.
You go back to the early 90s, there had been 12 years of Republican rule, and I remember everybody saying the Democratic Party is finished, they'll never come back. And then all of a sudden, Bill Clinton showed up.
No, this is worse. No, this is beyond worse than that. This is a much more serious. This was an election they could not lose. And they lost it badly in relative terms. It was close, but they lost the electoral. No. This is the one they were supposed to win easily. If you can't, they are on a slippery slope, and the problem is that brand of the Republican Party is just poison to too many voters. Now, usually, they cannot crack north of the Mason-Dixon line. You know what? They don't know how to appeal to working-class Democrats. You put this plutocrat up and run him about how bad 47% of the country is, and wonder why you lose. Well, I mean, we did this wonderful film, Bannon and I worked on Hope and Change. No, they put money in that stupid film, 2016. We don't have an hour to go through this.
All right. Well, let me
It is just, I promise you, everything I said was true.
All right, let me ask you another question. Usually when a guy's just not getting the job done, the economy's floundering, nothing's getting done, a Jimmy Carter sort of a presidency, it's a one-term deal. This is the first time we've ever given one of these guys a second term. What do you think's going to happen?
You gave it to him because you handed it to him on a platter.
Well, what do you think's going to happen?
He had no primary opposition, and he had $1 billion to spend, and he was able to tear Romney's up a new one, and Romney sat there with their finger up their rear. You know what? Let me tell you the person who really should be taken out and drawn and quartered is Mitt Romney. He spent $50 or $70 million last campaign. Now they're complaining they ran out of money in the spring. If he wanted to be president so bad, why didn't he write a check?
I don't know.
Nobody has asked that question.
I was always a Mitt Romney fan. At the end of this, I ended up with nothing but more admiration for him. He was a gentleman.
Well, then good for you, and good for the Republic. Good for you people. You have admiration for that guy. I think he's a stiff beyond belief.
What do you think's going to happen?
When he dropped Libya, when he there's not enough of a leader to put Libya on the table, which would have offset and put Obama on the defensive, at least, on his leadership. But they held the ball in the third debate. In presidential politics, when you play to win, you play conservative and defensive ball, you lose.
Yeah. What do you think's going to happen in the second Obama term? Do you think he'll get any better?
I have no idea. I really don't think it matters. I don't think anybody can stop it.
Well, all right. Well, Pat Caddell, not too cheerful this time, but
no. You know what? I've been saying this for years.
I know you have.
Coming back like it's new. You know what? I'm tired of being Cassandra. These are useless conversations.
I don't think you've ever been accused of being Cassandra, but always.
That's what I am, Cassandra. You tell the truth and no one listens.
Yeah, but always brilliant. And Pat Caddell.
Well, that doesn't do my country any good.
Yeah. Well, great talking to you. Thanks for being with us. That's the great Pat Caddell. It's Mark Simone here for Sean Hannity.